she just gave me the permission, therefore, to say, if you're ticked off that your favorite star or song is not in our film, call Ken Burns.
What makes country music such a compelling topic to explore?
Ken, who's the director of the film, says, I make the same film over and over again. We're always looking at American history through different perspectives, whether it's Jackie Robinson or the national parks or Vietnam. This is a way for us to look at American history through its music.
What are those key questions you wanted to ask about country music?
Well, when we start any project, we try to strip ourselves of any preconceptions that we might have about it. And what we try to do then is to share our discoveries. One of the central questions is, what is country music? And what you learn if you look at the history is, first of all, it's never been one music. You know, Jimmy Rogers and the Carter family, two of the foundational acts, I mean, if you listen to their music, it's not the same music. His was blues influenced with his yodel, and theirs came out of the church in the hills of Appalachia. As it progressed to the 20th century, it sprouted new branches, Western swing here in Texas, the Outlaws here in Austin, but also rockabilly and bluegrass. I think what our film will show to people is that whether you love country music or you hate it, or you think you hate it, what our film shows you is that it's a broad embrace of American styles of music, and as Dolly Parton says in their introduction, there's something in there for everybody. We concentrate on the people who made this uniquely American art form, and so their stories are fascinating in their own right, but we don't tell those stories because they're fascinating stories. We tell those stories because they lead us to the music, and the music comes from their own experiences. Chris Christopherson, we had this great interview with him 7 years ago, I guess it would have been, because we've been working on this for so long. He told us about growing up where he did on the border in Brownsville, that listening to the Mexican music across the river really put the heart in music for him. A complicated quote from William Blake, and he summarized it by saying, if you don't do what it is that you really want to do and are supposed to do, then you're wasting your life. And so this guy, who was a Rhodes Scholar, a captain in the U.S. Army, had been assigned to teach at West Point, made a trip to Nashville and decided, no, what I really want to do is to write songs. Wow. And then he tells a story about writing some of his songs, that me and Bobby McGee was inspired by a Fellini movie. Now, I don't think there are very many country songs that were inspired by Fellini, right? But he says, I owe it all to Fellini. So there are all those kind of stories in our film that still tries to say this is an American art form, and it's more complicated and much more profound than I think many people give it credit for.
8 years researching and producing this film, interviewing more than 100 people, 3,200 photographs. Can you give us a window into the scope of something of that magnitude?
In its final form, it's 16 and a half hours, 8 episodes. We dive right in, starting with interviews. Dayton does not write the script until we've done most of the interviews because we're trying to let it come to us. We've deployed stills researchers out across the country to collect photos. They're down here in Austin. Then we start our process after a couple years of research, and Dayton has written a script. He brings a script that he's written by himself that's twice as long as what the final show will be. And that's very deliberate because he wants the team to know all the things that could be in it. So as we start the process of sitting down together and boiling it down, we're all aware of what could be in. But we, for 2.5 years, every 6 to 10 weeks, the entire team sits down, watches the whole thing. We take notes and we just keep boiling it down. We're from New Hampshire, so we say it's a maple syrup metaphor. You know, it's 40 gallons of sap to get a gallon of syrup. And
I do make it longer for that reason. All the times that something gets taken out and I start to weep in the editing room,
it's a chopping block.
They pat me on the shoulder and say, well, that's for the companion book. There is a companion book to this that has many of the stories and people and songs that did not end up in the film. If you're ticked off that your favorite star or song is not in our film, call Ken Burns. We are storytellers, and this is not an encyclopedia. We want to tell stories about these people. We have to make hard choices of who they are. We have to choose songs that we think are important for each of those people, each of those songs that we choose. There are 20, 30 that have to go by the wayside. But our hope is it's an invitation to people to, why don't you go out now and listen to more Hotel Van Zandt, or come to Austin and see that it's still a home of live music, and you can understand. Willie Nelson told us in his interview, and Ray Benson told us in his, about what a yeasty place this was. Willie said he sort of discovered that with his music, hippie college students and redneck truck drivers found out that they didn't really hate each other because they could unite around the music. And I think that's another theme of our film. Good music comes right to your heart, and therefore unites us all of understanding that we're all human.
How do you decide where to end this film?
We consider we're doing history, not journalism. That takes about a generation's arm's length. We stop in the mid-1990s, so we have that arm's length.
In that process you're describing, the editing room, where it sounds like we're all still friends after those long hours together.
Depends on the night.
What's the soundtrack to those moments? Is there a song or album during this time that's become even more significant?
Well, you give us other opportunity to say there is a soundtrack that is coming out. I should look right into the camera.
This guy's good.
But yeah, it's whatever episode we're working on. We have to make some hard choices of great songs, but you know, we don't waste our time on the crap. You know, I mean, when the magic happened, it really was magic. And that's what we wanted to concentrate on. What were those magical moments and those songs and those artists that gave us what we call country music?
Well, this has been a magical moment for me. Thank you, and I know it is for everyone watching too. Really, thank you and congratulations, and we're all excited to see it come to life on the screen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.